everyone, and welcome to Making It on Mondays. Right, I'm just going to check my setup and I think it's okay. Looks like it's all working fine, which is always a good sign. All right, so welcome to Making It on Mondays. This is a weekly workshop for mums in the making. Now, Making It on Mondays is brought to you by the Acupuncture Pregnancy Clinic, which is an integrative traditional Chinese medicine clinic and an acupuncture clinic, which is dedicated to reproductive health, to IVF support, and to pregnancy care. Now, these weekly sessions are designed to help and support those on their fertility journey and are all about empowering women who are trying to conceive, and women on their fertility journey. And we are all about providing weekly workshops with relevant and research-based resources. So we are going to cover topics, and we have thus far also covered topics such as TCM fertility, nutrition, mindset, research, all the latest stuff that you need to know about trying to conceive and about empowering yourself to ensure that you have the best chance at having a healthy pregnancy. Now, we're also going to provide tips from the experts inside and outside of our clinic. So we're often interviewing people from outside of our clinic and from inside our clinic. And you can listen live or you can watch the recording. So today I am your host. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Louise Jeffrey. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, an acupuncturist and a coach. And I've been in practice helping couples trying to conceive since 2010. All right, so today we're going to talk about the unconscious mind, and we're going to talk about, can the unconscious mind impact our fertility? And then I'm going to share a few tips on how to start creating a fertile mind. So we're going to spend about 10 or 20 minutes together today, and please feel free to let me know if you have any questions along the way. I'd also love for you to let me know in the comments box, if anything that I share here today resonates with you. And if you're on live today, please let me know. I'll see if I can just double check if anyone's on with me. Yes, we got a couple of people on. Hi guys. Let me know if you're on and come, say hi, because it can be a little bit lonely out here by yourself. All right. So today, as I said, we're talking about the unconscious mind. Is there something beyond the physical, nutrition, supplements, our cycle, that could potentially hold us back from conceiving? Now, if you're on your fertility journey, you would have most likely done a lot of research when it comes to, nutrition, stress, your menstrual cycle, procedures, things you can do, hormones, lots of different things you would have looked at, a lot of different physical things. But for the most part, most of us don't consider whether there might be something unconsciously that might be holding us back from getting what it is that we want. And to understand if the unconscious mind can impact our fertility, we need to look at the unconscious mind slightly differently. So we're just going to take a little mini deep dive into the unconscious mind and how it works. Now, you may or may not know this, but the unconscious mind controls the majority of our thoughts. Now, so much so that out of the 60,000+ thoughts that most human beings have on an average day, 95% of these thoughts are the same. I'm going to say that again. Out of the 60,000+ thoughts that we think per day, 95% of those are the same day in and day out. They're repetitive, right? And almost all of these repetitive thoughts are under the control of our unconscious mind. In other words, they're not even conscious. These thoughts are just getting peppered into our conscious awareness from the unconscious mind. In other words, we can't necessarily control them. All right, we can absolutely decide if we want to listen to them or not, but we can't control them. So what that means is our unconscious mind carries a lot more power than I think we give it credit for, right? A lot more power in determining what we think. Does that make sense? Now, basically, it's the thoughts that are under our unconscious control that take up the majority of our mental bandwidth, right? So if those thoughts are not helpful or positive, but they're negative, they can actually have a detrimental effect on our well-being. Yes? So if we're constantly thinking, I'm never going to have a baby, there's no way I'm going to be able to conceive, I wonder how that is impacting our body. That's the first thing I want to think about, right? and how it's impacting, allowing our body to open up to the possibility of trying to conceive. Yeah. Now, the other thing to know here is that these unconscious thoughts and beliefs and the memories that we have, right, are in fact not stored in the brain, they're stored in the body at a cellular level. In other words, our most predominant thoughts and the memories of our past experiences and our beliefs are stored in our body's cells. So it would make sense then, right, that our thoughts can influence our body. Yes? Yeah? Now, even though mainstream contemporary science and general healthcare practices tend to treat the mind and the body as separate entities, right? I think you'll agree with me there. But there's actually increasing research and evidence-based practices to support the notion of a biodirectional relationship between the body and the mind, right? So according to modern brain science, the conscious mind accepts only 7 to 10 bits of information each moment, right? Whilst the unconscious mind absorbs millions of pieces of information simultaneously. So like I said earlier, even though we can't always easily remember things, memories, thoughts, whatever they may be, right? The unconscious mind stores away every event that happens to us. Now, the unconscious is designed to protect us. That's why it's there. It's designed so that we don't have to think all the time. We don't want to have to think and concentrate 100% every single time we're riding a bike because we've learned to do it. We don't want to have to think, how do I pedal? We just know how to pedal, right? But that's our unconscious mind at work. But the unconscious mind is really designed, one of its major functions is to protect us and to keep us safe. Now, because it has no ability to think critically, the unconscious mind, right? It's autopilot. So unlike the conscious mind, it has no ability to think critically. And because of how much it's processing at one time, it prefers the path of least resistance, right? And as a result of this, the unconscious mind can sometimes work against our best intentions and efforts. So even when it's something we desperately want, like having a baby, right? The unconscious mind can actually work to sabotage things. So for example, so many women spend a significant proportion of their lives trying not to get pregnant, right? And then we ask it to completely switch around. The unconscious mind has generally accepted this desire, right? That we don't want to get pregnant. And it's embedded the belief in our unconscious mind and has done so for so long that it takes time for us to switch gears. Yeah, does that make sense? So that's only one aspect of what can happen. We're going to talk about a few more. Now, according to research, there are actually several unconscious blocks that can impede our fertility. For example, we know that past sexual abuse or trauma can wreak havoc with our emotional well-being and impact our fertility. And sometimes there's actually a block or a limiting belief that can block us from falling pregnant because the unconscious mind may feel that it's safer not to conceive, right? Now, because these past events or beliefs are highly emotional, the thoughts or feelings that are attached to them, like guilt or shame or not feeling good enough, right? Whether they're true or legitimate or not, right? Doesn't matter. It just means the subconscious mind will do whatever it takes to live out that belief and to avoid the pain, right? And since the unconscious mind can't tell the difference between what is real or what is imagined, hi Kath, hi Lisa, right? These emotions and these thoughts and these beliefs can hold us back from getting what we want. Am I making sense? I hope so. So if I am, let me know in the comments box. So let me ask you this. Is there any part of you that feels there may be something other than the physical that might be contributing to you not conceiving, right? Are there any past hurts? Are there any traumas? Or perhaps there's some limiting beliefs. Perhaps there's some fear involved, right? In you falling pregnant or having a baby or having a family, right? And that's something that might well be significant for you. So I'm going to share with you a story of one of my clients. We'll call her Janet. Now, Janet was in her late 30s, and she came to the clinic because she'd been trying to fall pregnant for about 4 years. But even with IVF, she hadn't been successful. Now, her partner's sperm was good, and she had had all the tests and investigations, but her fertility was unexplained. And this was so frustrating for her because there was nothing that she felt she could do to fix the problem, right? Because there was no evident problem to address. Now, I know how hard it is to be putting everything you've got into trying to conceive and to spend hours and days researching and to leave no stone unturned, only to come up with nothing, right? It can really be quite soul destroying, and it can be incredibly tough on our relationships and on our body. So Janet was a counseling client of mine. Janet and I spent some time exploring, and what she told me was that her mother had passed away when she was an early teen, and her mother's illness and the lead up to her passing was really very traumatic for both Janet and her mother. And she remembered that back then she had decided that being a mother was not worth it because of the potential pain of loss, right? That might occur on both sides. So her unconscious mind had created this belief to try and keep her safe. And the belief was something like, don't become a parent, and then you'll never have to go through that pain again, or you'll never have to impart that pain to your child. So can you see how that the unconscious mind can hold us back? How strong it actually is, right? So I hope that that has made sense to you. I've given you just a little bit of an insight into the unconscious mind and how it works. It's not that we purposefully are trying not to fall pregnant, but there can well be something, a belief or a fear or something that's holding us back. Okay, so I'm going to move on to what can we do about this, right? I'm going to just give you 3 tips that I think are really, really good to start creating a more fertile mind. And then I'll talk to you about, if you believe that there's anything that's holding you back, what you can do about it. All right. So the top 3 tips for a fertile mind. Number 1 is to remain open. For so many people on this journey, they're looking for information, right, to help them conceive. And I might have shared some concepts with you today that may or may not have resonated with you. But all I'm suggesting is that you remain open to concepts and new ideas. And you start to become curious about you and what might be holding you back if you think that there is something. And what might happen is that you may just stumble, right, upon something that's quite significant for you, right? This journey can feel so disempowering. It can feel like life is happening to us, right? Like we have no control over it. But what remaining open and curious does is that it helps you to consider things that you may not have considered before that can be really, really helpful. And then tip number 2 for a fertile mind, and this is the biggest thing, and I talk to people about this all the time, use visualization and affirmation. Now, you may or may not know this, but visualization and affirmation are incredibly powerful tools in helping us to get what we want. Why? Well, to understand, we need to go back a step just to talk a little bit more about the unconscious mind again. Remember, I said that neuroscience tells us that the unconscious mind can't tell the difference between what is perceived and what is real. So if we perceive something to be true, the unconscious mind will actively seek out ways to make it a reality for us. So for example, if we have an emotional block that's holding us back from conceiving, and we start visualizing through our seeing and our imagination, and we start affirming through words that we already are pregnant, then the unconscious mind will want to make that true for us in the here and now. So it will seek out ways to make that true and to bring our attention to opportunities and to avenues that will help us achieve what we want. Does that make sense? Or if you speak to any of these successful sports people throughout the world, 99% of them use some form of visualization and affirmation, right? To help them with their success. So my question to you is, if you're trying to conceive, are you able to see yourself pregnant, right? Or with a baby in your arms? And if you are, then spend as much time as you can visualizing this and feeling how happy it makes you feel, right? And if you can't, then spend some time working out how to start doing it. Because the more we do it, right, the more we visualize and the more we feel the joy, the stronger it becomes. Remember, the currency of the unconscious mind is the emotions. So if it feels good, the unconscious mind will chase it. And what visualization and affirmation do is they open the unconscious mind to allowing the body to experience this and to help it to feel safe in doing so. Now, when we're affirming, in other words, using words, we need to keep the affirmations in the positive and in the present tense. And using gratitude can also help tremendously. So, for example, the affirmation I used when I was preparing to conceive was, "Thank you, God, for my fertility." And I would say it over and over and over again, like 40 to 60 times per day for weeks on end, for months on end, right? Now you'll notice that I'm using gratitude and I'm using the present tense as if I already have it. Now, if you don't like the reference to God, that's fine. You can just say, thank you for my fertility and feel gratitude. Or I thank the universe for my fertility. Or you can even add more on, like, thank you for my healthy, happy children or family, or whatever feels right for you. Okay, use those techniques. They're so powerful. And then lastly, tip number 3 for a fertile mind. If you feel that there's something that may be holding you back from conceiving, and not everyone feels this, or if you're unsure, then this may be something you'll want to explore further with a therapist or a coach or a counselor who works with fertility. So find a therapist that you can trust and that you can connect with. And it doesn't always have to be the first one you meet. Go with your gut feel on this one. And if you are struggling and you'd like us to refer someone, we can do that for you too. So just let us know in the comments box or send us a message to myself or Amy. So to summarize, our top 3 tips for a fertile mind: remain open, use visualization and affirmation to trick the unconscious mind into believing you already have what you want. And then thirdly, if you think there may be an emotional block or a belief that's holding you back from falling pregnant, then seek out a therapist to help you identify what this is. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for joining us today. I hope that this left you feeling more empowered, curious. Hope you feel educated. And don't forget, Making It on Mondays are made for you. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what you would like to hear more about. And I'll be back next week at the same time. Signing off now. Have a beautiful rest of your day.